This morning, the U.S. and Israel intensifying their attacks on Iran, as President Trump now demands, quote, unconditional surrender. Overnight explosions rocking Tehran yet again. Israel says they began a new wave of strikes in the capital city, videos circulating online showing the moment one of those strikes hit a major airport, leaving it engulfed in flames. Iran has been ramping up its retaliatory strikes throughout the week. On Friday, fire seen erupting at U.S. logistics offices and warehouses in Iraq after an Iranian drone strike. And in Kuwait, Iranian missile debris igniting this fire at a military base where U.S. troops are stationed. No injuries have been reported. But this morning, in a televised address, the president of Iran apologizing to its neighbors, saying there will be no more attacks on neighboring countries and no missile launches unless attacks originate from those countries against Iran. Also responding to Trump's call for surrender, saying the U.S. and Israel, quote, will take their dreams of us surrendering unconditionally to the grave. And in an alarming new development, sources telling ABC News the U.S. believes Russia has been providing intelligence to Iran involving the locations of American troops, including aircraft and ships in the region. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth responding to those claims in a preview of an upcoming 60 Minutes episode.
Our commanders are aware of everything. We have the best intelligence in the world. We're aware of who's talking to who, why they're talking to them, how accurate that information might be, how we factor that into our battle plans.
The Pentagon says the U.S. has now struck more than 3,000 targets in Iran, with the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford, moving into the Red Sea. And as questions mount as to whether there will be American boots on the ground, in another sign of potential escalation, multiple officials telling ABC News the Army abruptly canceled a major training exercise for a unit of the 82nd Airborne Division that oversees deployments. The 82nd Airborne is the Pentagon's premier ground combat unit, fueling speculation that they may be getting ready to deploy to the Middle East if needed. But officials stress there are no orders to deploy right now. The scope of the war only growing larger, and on to a second front as Israel expands its strikes deeper into Lebanon, waging war on the Iranian-backed proxy group Hezbollah. Bombs ringing out in Beirut throughout Friday.
So you can see there the explosion right there. You can see the explosion. And there is the sound. It takes a little bit for the sound to travel. Obviously, you see the explosion first, then the sound reaches us. That is the latest strike and what has been strike after strike after strike all day long.
Hundreds of thousands now forced to escape after the Israeli military issued evacuation orders in the area. And this morning, new details on that horrific strike on a girls' school in southern Iran that Iran says left 168 people dead. As the U.S. investigates, sources telling us they believe it is possible American forces are responsible for the attack because they were conducting strikes in the vicinity of the school at the same time. Retired Master Sergeant Wes Bryant, who worked in the Pentagon office that assesses civilian casualties, says he believes the building was targeted.
I could tell immediately that this compound was deliberately targeted. I know since we've seen at least 7 different target points that were individually targeted by munitions within this compound, very clearly.
Israel saying its forces were not operating in that area, but 1 week since the attack, the U.S. still looking into it, saying that it would never deliberately target civilians.
Now, this morning, President Trump taking to social media, posting about the war in Iran, saying in part that certain groups of people in areas inside of Iran that were not considered for targeting up until this moment are now, quote, under serious consideration for complete destruction and certain death because of Iran's bad behavior. Not exactly clear, Janae, what he's talking about there.
Yeah.